Brothers and sisters, hi, salam alaikum. Suleiman Raheem here. Let's slay some demons. Brothers and sisters, there's a lot to talk about. Things are moving very fast. We have a lot of breaking news. But the purpose of this presentation is trying to put things into perspective for our people. We're not worried about the scripties, the demons, the devils. They're not going to listen to any of this. Not hear any of it. They're all about frustrating it or self-aggrandizement, or whatever. They're not about the truth. The time of the son of perdition, 42 years, has come to a close. They said they had no love for the truth. So you can talk scripture all you want. You say, well, how come they not listen to scripture? I'm just talking scripture. They claim they Christians and whatever, and Jews and whatever, and they claim they believe in the Bible. They claim they believe in the messenger. Yet you're just talking scripture. They don't want to hear it. Say it's not making an impact. Well, it is making an impact. It's just that our people are not ready, don't have the energy to come together. It's like talking someone to sleep. See, they have to awake. Our people are being moved, just don't have enough energy to come together yet. Energy deprivation. We suffered for 6,000 years. It's going to happen. It's happening now. It comes to you but of a sudden. It's momentous in the heavens and earth, but it will come to you but of a sudden. We're gaining energy now. It's like you have a long night's sleep and then suddenly you wake up. That's what's happening. It's going to happen overnight. As it says, can a nation be born in a day? Understand that, brothers and sisters. Don't worry about all this other stuff out there. All these people talking and talking and talking. They're not preventing anything. All they're doing is identifying themselves. They're identifying themselves as who they are, liars and deceivers. Because obviously, if you believe in the Bible at all, and they claim they do, because that's what they claim they're teaching, the Bible itself says that the books, Daniel and Injil, or Revelations, would not be revealed until the end time, and they're both are sealed. They would have to be sealed, have to be broken. Only one person can do it. And it would happen to the end times. So if they have not broken the seals, they know themselves that they're lying. They have no idea what those books, if they know what the books mean, then the books are not sealed. So brothers and sisters, do not be dismayed. It says, if you read Ezekiel, it says he was told not to be dismayed. He says their heads were like stone, but he made Suleiman's head like flintstone that breaks stones apart. His heart, he'll be harder than theirs. The scripties and the demons. So all that then identify themselves. You can talk to them all you want. You can show all the proof you want. It says that they had no love for the truth. They're there for some other reason. Either agents, liars, they're all liars. Agents, demons, whatever their agenda is. Excuse me for 1 second, brothers and sisters. That's a little better. Pardon me, brothers and sisters. As I said, I don't particularly like giving the videos during the day because I have many distractions. Anyway, they are just identifying themselves. Because when the war starts and it's about to start, they say they'd be weeping and wailing. Oh, I wish I had listened. Too late. See, because you're out there running your mouth, you had no idea what you're talking about. You haven't broke the seals. If you haven't broke the seals, that means you should be shut up. Because you don't know what it's saying. If you know what it's saying, that means it's not sealed. What was the purpose of the seal? And it will be sealed to the end. So why are you out there deceiving people, talking about stuff you don't know, pulling stuff out of your behind, calling it honey? It's not honey. Can't you smell it? I can smell it. It's not honey. So let them continue. Don't worry about them. Because it's going to happen suddenly. Can a nation be born in a day? It says, who ever heard such a thing? It will happen suddenly and soon when the four winds blow. That gets back to another point. See, they don't want to talk the scripture. The scriptures are very clear. Once you understand the angel, the scriptures come open. Then you can read it like a book. There's two resurrections. Read Ezekiel. There was the pre-4-wind resurrection and the post-4-wind resurrection. One before the four winds and one after the four winds. The one before the first four winds did not have the Spirit. After the four winds, that was the one that became a great army. It was two resurrections. So in the scripture, it tells you there was two resurrectors. You have to put these things together. Who is the first resurrector? Elijah. Elijah raised the widow's son. Elijah was not a Levite. He was not from the tribe of Judah. He was not from the tribe of Shabazz. Elijah was from the tribe of the Levites. That's a tribe that was grafted into the tribe to the tribe of Shabazz or Israel. It was grafted in. They're a priest tribe. And their responsibility is to be like caretakers of the scripture, of the word, of the books that Allah reveals to us. And they were supposed to prepare the way for Suleiman after Elijah left. That was their purpose. That was their job. And it didn't do that. That was the widow's son. That was the first resurrection. That's the one Elijah Muhammad did. So he raised the widow's son. They're not the seed of Abraham. They are grafted in tribe, but they will receive the reward because they went through the same hell that we went through. It's just that the promise wasn't made to them, but it was made to them vicariously, right? Because they suffered as we suffered. So they were allowed to receive, to take part in the promise of Abraham, a part of the covenant. You have to understand that. That's why when you study angel, you see them separate. They're referred to as the black horse, among other things. That's the Nation of Islam. That was the first resurrection. Before the four winds. Read Ezekiel, there was two. So unless you know that the four winds is blown, then they are part of the first resurrection. So if you say the four winds have blown, then tell me when they blew and define them. Point them out to me. Because they have not blown yet. They're about to. That was the first resurrection. The resurrection by Elijah Muhammad. The widow's son, the tribe of Levites, who failed in their mission. See? That's why Aaron is called Elijah's brother, because he's of the Levites also, at least his mother is. Remember, it's all about, traces back to his mother, not to his father. He traces back to Moses' mother, not Moses' father. That's why Aaron was called his brother, because his mother was a Levite also, but his father is a devil. Aaron's father's a devil. That's why Aaron is called Elijah's brother, Moses' brother in Exodus. It says your brother, not by mother, not by father. Read it carefully. You see, the Quran, if I'm correct, Quran doesn't even talk about Moses' father, only talks about Moses' mother. That's the connection between Aaron and Moses and Elijah and Farrakhan. The maternal connection. They both had Levite mothers. But Farrakhan's father is a devil. He says so. But now he's trying to clean it up. Now he's been busted. But he can do all he wants. It doesn't matter. Because he's the chief demon. That's what a demon is. A demon is someone who has a devil father, but other than a devil mother. That's what a demon is. Half devil, half man. Demon. So again, this information is for the seed of Abraham. Because Jesus went to war, what? The first thing he did when he came to war, he went to war with the demons. And what the first thing the demon says, do not torment us. And it says, explain exactly what the torments are. Do not expose us. Because that's what Jesus was doing. They said, please stop doing it. That was their first cry. The second was, please don't make us lead a country, because demons' home is here with their devil daddies, their swine devil daddies. That's why I said they want to go and get with the swine. Oh, let's go and get with the swine. And then they got to fighting off the cliff. It's another story altogether. And what about the second resurrection? It tells you that was done by Jesus or Joshua. That was Lazarus. Now read the story in Mark about the demon-possessed man. It says he was living amongst the tombs. That means he was in the tombs, he was living amongst the tombs, he lived amongst the dead. But that's what Lazarus was. Lazarus was dead. He was still, Elijah Muhammad constantly said his best followers are still out there in the streets. The dead, they will not rise to the end. Said they would not rise to the last trump. The last trump? That's interesting. So it's two resurrections. And that one, the second one occurred after the four winds blew. That one was raised by Jesus or Joshua. Two resurrections. Lazarus and the widow's son. The widow's son is NOI. They're the ones that was plagued by demons. Demons have control of them. That gets in the story about Peter. Who is Peter? Peter is also Aaron, the one that followed after Moses or Elijah. Because you see, Jesus, he's Joshua. The first, he said to Peter, get behind me, Satan. So he's this other Satan. It says, when Satan casts out Satan, you understand? The kingdom is divided and will fail. So now we see they're going after each other now. Satan, the son of perdition, it says he's after the working of Satan. He's the other Satan. And he's going after they're going after each other now. He says his father, he thinks his father was a Jew, his grandfather was a Jew. So it's all kinds of hints there. But they're going at each other now. That's one of the signs of the end. See, are you this and that? And they're going back and forth. Satan casting out Satan. So Peter says, get behind me, Satan. So he identifies who Peter is. And why he said behind me, that means he was either next to him or in front of him. Or otherwise, probably have to say, get behind me. So he was in front of him. That means he was before him, right? He was Aaron, who was before Joshua. So he says, now your time is past. Get behind me, Satan. So he tells him, get behind me. But he called him Satan. But remember, this one he called Satan is the one who was causing all this trouble. Because he was cutting the ears off to people as soon as Jesus was telling the truth. That's what Farrakhan's doing out there full time, telling these lies. As soon as you hear the truth, they come out with all this BS. They're all over there. Social media everywhere with that BS. No facts, no scripture, just cold bullshit, period. See, and he tells you, he says, and you got to pay attention. He says, on this rock, I'll build my church. So it'll be a church, right? And he says, the gates of hell will not prevail. So all you got to do is do a little analysis. He got 3 subjects there. He got the church, he got the gate, he got hell, and he got the gate in between them. But the gate is to keep the habits of hell, the demons and devils in. That's what the gate is for. The gate is to keep them in. It's not to keep people out of hell. It's to keep people that's in hell. Understand that. So if you got the gate between the church and hell, if that gate fails, because when you don't prevail, that means you fail. So he says, and the gates of hell will not what? And the gates of hell will not, say it again? And the gates of hell will not prevail. That means they will fail. So if the gates of hell fail, right? And they're the only thing separating the demons and the devils from the church, that means they're going to come in and fill up the church. That's what he's telling you. Read it. And that's what it says. He's saying that. He wants to bring devils into NOI. And he's a demon himself. This stuff is coming, like Elijah Muhammad said, it will become so clear in a fool with error. See? Because it's coming clear and clear every day. We just talking the scripture. We distorting the scripture. We just talking the scripture. We're not distorting anything. They contort and distort. Even to the extent they even use scripture, they contort, right? Distort. See them wrapping something like pretzels. Here's a lie a few months back called Abdul, right? He one of Farrakhan's student ministers. Somehow. Aaron came and he had to get people out of control. It was out of control. They were out of control. He had to get it back in control. And he's the one who had the incense. He's all lying. That ain't what it says. It says the people out of control because Aaron had got them out of control. Just read it. But he tried to make like it was out of their mind and Aaron had to straighten them out. No, it was Aaron the reason that got them out of their mind. He just open his story, just read it. Open his story, they do it all the time. So why they got to distort and contort? Because they're liars. They can't find scriptures that back up that BS they're talking about. I'm going on with those clowns. They say, he got the incense. Yeah, he got the incense. But why do you get incense? Because something's stinking. Really smell because you don't need incense. Yeah, because he had everything stinking up. So he needs incense to cover it up, to cover the stink. So anyway, Jesus, what about Lazarus? He says, Lazarus what? He was dead for 4 days. That's the 40 years. That's another hint right there. That means he wouldn't be raised until 2020. Because the 40 years ends in 2019. That means 2020 is the year of the return, the years of Lazarus waking up. He's out of slavery now. 4 days. They don't just put 4 days out there for no reason. He was dead for 4 days. He didn't come to life. The Abrahamic covenant of 1619 to 2019. That's the enslavement period. 2020 is the year of the resurrection. It tells you that. That's the year of the plague. It says there will be a plague that will kill the firstborn. Who is it killing? They tell you the elderly. They say never seen a plague like this before. It's just getting the elderly and the most infirmed. It said it wouldn't kill us. It's not killing us. It's killing the demons that look like us, but it's not killing us. But you can't, how you going to sort that out? So they ain't going to tell you that. I'm 71 years old. I don't wear a mask. I should be a high, you know, you know, what's the word they use? You know, I should be most vulnerable. I'm not wearing a mask because it said we'll pass over you, us. But it required an act of faith because he had to put a lamb's blood on the door. So you have to set the lamb and start uploading this angel. It required an act of faith. It would get them, but it says this plague itself, you got to read into that. This plague, the reason this plagues come from God. They say never seen anything like it. I can go into all the details. I'm planning on taking some time today and going into a lot of details, but I can't spend detail on everything because we'll be here hours. It says this plague is actually come from God, and it said it came in on time, exactly like it says. Scriptures is 100% correct. The 2020 burst in with this plague and it's killed the firstborn, exactly like it says. And the people, the Jews, who hold history, not the history, but the whole religion is based on Exodus. It's based on Exodus. Their religion is based on the Exodus. The whole thing, study it. And Passover, that's what Passover and all that stuff is about this plague. So they know it back and forth, but they try to tell you the scripture, they tell you that's history when it's a lie. See, that's still a big lie. They tell you history when it's actually prophecy happening now. Never happened to them. But they capitalize on it and say, well, that happened to us and never did it. There's no proof of it whatsoever. They've been digging around those deserts for thousands of years, have found no evidence at all of any exodus going out of Egypt into, and the whole thing is that they said the country's not theirs. Do you know where Egypt is from Jerusalem or where, you know, or Iraq or the regions they was living in? It's right next door. It's like going from Newark to New Jersey. I'm going from Newark to New York. It's bullshit. Never happened to them. They had to cross the Red Sea, all kind of stuff. Why? They're right there next door. See? And the Egyptians have no record of it. Anyway, so they're trying to tell us that's them, that's history. But they know this stuff. And so when they looked around, having control of the media, the education, what the class, the wealthiest people, right? The media, Hollywood, right? I'm trying to see what the word they use for medicine, you know, doctors and lawyers. They have pretty much control of most of all of that. So when they saw this plague come in exactly on time, they knew the 400-year history. They knew exactly what that meant. They knew exactly what that meant. And they saw these white people up in the hospitals dying and stuff. They knew exactly what that meant. So they had to come up with a current narrative. Oh man, black folks are dying like flies. You know, what the word they use, disproportionate. Right? Okay. What does that mean, disproportionate? Most of us can't even appreciate for mathematics. So that's how they get over on us. What does disproportionate mean? That means if 10 people get it and one person died, right? No, let me put it another way. There's 10 people, right? Okay, so they want to say 90%. 90%. You see? 9% of what? 10 people got it. 9 people died, right? Only 9 people died now. Right? So they don't tell you only 10 people got it. They don't tell you that. Or another way, just getting it. They say 10 people got it. 9 people got it out of 10. 90%, 90%. See, that's like a loud number. But they'll tell you that maybe 1,000 white people got it and only 10 people got it. Say, oh, it kept giving you numbers. It's numbers when it came to the whites or anybody else. But it came to blacks, it always gave you percentage, because percentage you can make it blow it out of proportion. Because only 9 people died out of 10. Only 10 got it, 9 people died. That's like a big number, but in approximately just talking, 9 people probably died in car accidents. That's all that died, 9 altogether. But if it's 90%, 90% of black people, wow. See, that's how they play the game. Anyway, we're going to move on from that. So they knew exactly what that meant. So they had to do something to get past all that. So they started, oh, well, black folks getting in all this stuff. See, because they got to do something. So now you see a lot of stuff going on with these locusts we're going to talk about. A lot of white folks in there with that. We're going to talk about that in a minute. But remember, think about it, there's 2 resurrections. Now we're about to witness the second resurrection that will take place overnight when the 4 winds blow. And the 4 winds are about to blow. When does the 4 winds blow? Once the war starts. All these things will happen once the war starts. Because once that war starts, America has less than 1 year to live. Beyond that, it says you'll be going in 1 day. In that case, it's talking about 1 year. So those are the kind of things that you don't know about. They're not telling you about. I talk about that. They tell you, well, Elijah Muhammad raised Lazarus. That's not what Scripture says. He did raise someone from the dead. But there's 2. Elijah, and then you got Aaron, didn't raise anybody. He was putting people back to sleep. All he did was get all his followers slaughtered. They don't want to hear about that. That's right there, Aaron. It's right in between Moses and Joshua, between Elijah and Jesus. And he's the bad guy. They don't want to talk about, oh, what's that? Well, all you trying to say is Wallace. Okay. So that's how they get around saying, well, since Wallace is Aaron, even though they taken, he was, Farrakhan was one of Wallace's followers. But Wallace is Aaron, so that makes Farrakhan Jesus then. Okay. We're not here to convince anybody anything. If you want to accept that, you want to believe that, go ahead. You know, it's behind me, all this real estate, everything they're showing. See, Elijah Muhammad didn't have to say, he's the greatest ever. Because every Savior's Day, this is Savior Day 74, you see him behind me. Right? All they did is list all his accomplishments. And then you say, wow, man, he's rocking. Look at all these accomplishments. Real estate, you know, factories, food, production, farming. Look at all the sisters behind him. He kept that, his stage was totally full. Look at Farrakhan's, he's mostly got lost founds in there. These are all believers. See, Farrakhan ain't doing anything. He hasn't even accomplished 1/10 of Elijah Muhammad accomplished. Not even that much. I would say even much less than that. He hasn't built a damn thing. But that's by design. Because this whole idea is to get rid of what, why you can build something, you know that's the whole design to get rid of it. Anyway, you got the 2 resurrections. So one is about to take place. That's when Joshua or Jesus will take care. But first he has to go to war because he's got to clean up the NOI. So first he goes to war, right? He goes to war with the demons. Legion, Louis Eugene Grounds of the NOI backwards. That's no coincidence. Louis Eugene Grounds. That's Farrakhan. His mother, they kind of got into Google and went back to try to clean that mess up. But if you look at it carefully, you see his mother's name was Sarah Grounds. Sarah Mae Grounds. Her last name was, her maiden name was Grounds, but she was not married when Farrakhan was conceived, because Farrakhan's first story was his father was a devil who raped his mother. That was his first story. And that's why she tried to rape him. Excuse me. That's why she tried to abort him, because she had been raped. Tried to abort him 3 times because she'd been raped. Now he's got to know the story. Now it follows a dark-skinned Jamaican or light-skinned Jamaican. So he keeps changing the story all the time. Because that was the story before. That was the story when, you understand, back when. Now it's a whole different story. Because you go out and dig up research and find this stuff. And then, oh, well, no, he was light-skinned Jamaican. Okay, whatever. So, if she was not married when she was raped, right, then his legal name would have been her maiden name, which would be Louis Eugene Grounds, L-E-G-I-O-N, that's Legion. I-O-N is N-O-I backwards. This stuff is very clear, brother. Says that's not a coincidence. Even if it was a ground, that's a hell of a connection, ain't it? That's what said his name was. He didn't want to be exposed. He's admitted in many cases his father was the devil. Because that's what he used to tell you. Oh, well, one drop of black blood makes you black. It makes you black, don't make you original. If you're not original, you have no part in the Abrahamic covenant. Even though they're telling you now that the Mexicans and everybody else have rights to that covenant. Real bullshit. No, that's not going to happen. I'm not going to go into all the details of that. So you had the 2 resurrections there. And so the man was living amongst Elijah, but Elijah was dead. He said he was living amongst the tombs. He's beating himself up because the demons had control of him. See? The democratic party. See, demo means people. That's Greek for people, demo. Cratic means control or rule. So we say control or rule by the people, that's democracy. That's where the word comes from. So, but if you was controlled by devils, you would call it devilcratic. Or if you're controlled by demons, you call it democratic. That's a big hint right there. Because the democratic party has got him fighting, tearing itself apart. Fighting against itself. They're helping. See, this is NOI was also, well, anyway, we just leave it. So the Democratic Party is the one that's got control of them. The chief demon, because the man cannot speak for itself. The chief demon spoke for him. Legion, Louis Eugene Grounds. He turned the NOI backwards. He's the one that was a spokesman. So the man cannot speak for itself. But the NOI recognized Jesus. They saw him from afar. And they ran to him. They was enthusiastic. They was finally, right? Because John the Baptist, Elijah was gone, and they recognized Jesus because they recognized Elijah Muhammad's teachings in him. The fulfillment of it. So they ran enthusiastic. But then the demons pushed kibosh and said, no. They said, what does Farrakhan have on them? This oiling stuff or whatever? He's blackmailing them or something? So he stopped it. Then he confronts Jesus. What you doing here? What you bothering us for? Don't stop tormenting us. Stop exposing us. It tells you next line. That was the whole point. Because Jesus was exposing them. That's why he said, will you stop doing that? So there was a conflict in the Nation of Islam. One wanted, but one was holding back for some way, however they was doing it. It says the son of perdition would make war with the saints and overcome them for 42 years. So what is he using to overcome them? Is that what it says? And it's been 42 years now. I mean, see all these time frames coming together. 2020, the plague, 2020, right? Lazarus has been dead. That's the day he rise because he was dead for 20 years already. From 1619 to 2019, so he rise in 2020. The plague will come in 2020. You see, these things are coincidences. So here's the man. See, in the 42 years, That's 2020. From Farrakhan, this is 42nd year. From 1977, he resets himself to 2020. This is a coincidence. All these dates coming together at the same time. This is in his when the demons will be cast out. That's when the nation is not be cleaned up. That's when Lazarus arrives. That's when the plague will take place. All these things happening right now in front of your face, and they're not talking about it. I ain't making this up, no conspiracy theory. You can figure it out for yourself. It's made it very clear to you. 1620, 1619 to 2019 is 40 years. 2020 would be the plague. Killing the firstborn, the elderly. 2020 would be the 42nd year of the son of perdition of Aaron, who's misleading the NOI, take control of it and got it all messed up. 1977 to 2020, that's 42 years. He's over. Lazarus was dead for 40 years, 400 years, for 4 years, that's 40 years. 1690 to 20, he was raised in 2020. What's going? I keep on going. There's a whole lot of, there ain't the end of it. I'm just, for brevity, I'm just trying to point out the highlights here. So Elijah would be gone for about 40 years. Do it 40 years. In his absence, Aaron would be doing this dirt. He was, Aaron was good. He said, go where he said go and don't. Yeah, he did say that. But he was talking about as his spokesman. Because when Elijah Muhammad was around, and if you saw the Farrakhan, he was representing Elijah Muhammad, so he's supposed to do what he told you. He says things about Malcolm. He didn't mean after my absence. Same thing about his absence and all that stuff about him sitting in there for Elijah Muhammad. See, I was right there. It never happened. I was there between 70 and 75. It never happened. If it did, this was doing theology time. It's all tape. They would have a tape of it. They would be shoving down your throat. It never happened. So a demon-possessed man, right, he possessed by demons. He can't talk for himself. The chief demon, Farrakhan's talking for him. And Farrakhan said, not only, please don't make us leave the country. That's what he said, we ain't going nowhere. So think about that, the Abrahamic covenant. That's the whole reason why God came, to take us back home. That's the whole reason why he set up Elijah Muhammad, taught him, to remind us of the Abrahamic covenant and that the prayers for going home. That's the whole purpose. Joshua would come, that he's the one actually take you home. Elijah Muhammad was the messenger, but he said, then there was another messenger, the messenger of the covenant. In other words, he's the fulfillment of the covenant, the one you delight in. He's the one that will fulfill the covenant. Elijah Muhammad was just the messenger of it. That's clear enough, brothers and sisters. Oh, well, he just said he's the messenger of the covenant. Do you understand what it means? Elijah Muhammad was just the messenger about the event. See? But Joshua is the event. That's why I say he's the messenger of the covenant. Because he's of the event. He represents the event. Elijah Muhammad just the messenger of the event. And even in there, it tells you, he's the last messenger. That's what Malachi said. There's two messengers, the one after him. The messenger of the covenant that will come to his temple. Elijah Muhammad's temple. So Elijah Muhammad came to his own temple and make no sense. Okay, brothers and sisters, let's keep on. That's his second. So the man is going, he says he's lost his mind. You see? And he's beating himself up. That's Democratic Party, that's demons, because they turn him against himself, he's working against himself. See, and he's lost his mind. Elijah Muhammad gave him original mind with the lessons, and Farrakhan came and took that away from him, right? And gave him back the devil mind again. See, so now the demon, so he's working against himself. Because when you have the devil's mind, see, he's got the devil's mind with Elijah Muhammad apps on the mind. So he's got an old version, but he's usually running Elijah Muhammad's apps. They think they're running Elijah Muhammad's mind. No, they're running his apps. Message black man for America. But they got the devil's mind, because that's what the demon gave him, the devil's mind. That's the only mind Farrakhan can give him. That's the only mind he has. He has a devil mind. because he has he has a grafted brain. Only thing running on the grafted brain is a double mind. He can't run original mind on that grafted. It won't work. Like trying to run Apple right on a Apple operating system right on one of those Androids. It's not going to work. Different technology. So that's what's happening. So he's beating himself up. That's the you got the Democratic Party. It's all demons. When you walk on the TV, all that stuff, that's the master's house. Those are master's children. The Quran makes it very clear. It says those who love this world's life, there's no portion in the hereafter. That's another way to tell you they're all demons. Because they love this world life, because they are this world. Now Jesus said, if you of this world, the world will love you. They're of this world. That's why the world loves you, and that's why they're successful in it. How many ways have to tell you that? But they won't have no portion in the hereafter. They're of this world. They're demons. They're in the map. When we was out in the fields, right? Who was in the master's house? The slave, the house niggers. They was in the master's house. They was in the master's house because they was master's children. He trusted them. Only time they got in the field is because they was out there to spy or they was out there for punishment. Otherwise, they was in the master's house. They was his children. He trusted them. They were still niggas for all concerned, but the point is they was trusted niggas, and they loved Master. They was only upset because Master didn't recognize them as being one of their children. See? Because they was a black sheep of the family. And it's still like that today. You get out of line, remember Copenhagen, you get out of line, they put your ass back out in the field. All those people out there you see in Hollywood, all this rich and famous, Oprah, Shaq, all these people, they're all demons. It tells you, the Quran tells you, they won't have no portion hereafter. So if those who love this world life will have no portion hereafter, is that clear enough for you? So you admire them? Yeah, and when you're a slave, you admire the people in the master's house. Because you said, man, I want to dress like them. They was dressing like master, eating like master, talking like master. Right? They had it easy. And you was out there picking cotton or whatever you're doing 24/7, being beaten and raggedy clothes and everything else. Yeah, you envied them. So, man, I'm tired of being a helmet builder. Yeah. But they still wouldn't, they didn't care about you. And they were just hard against you as master was, probably even worse. Because they wanted to keep you out in that field. Because they know the more you worked harder you work out there, the better it was for them. Because if the master's eating steaks, that means they got to eat hamburgers. But if the master got reduced to hamburgers, they mean they have to go back to eating chitlins. Chitlins, that's exactly what it is. They took the C off. The SO put a C there because they couldn't sell it as chitlins. And you still buy it and eating it. Everybody know it's shit. Even people that cook it know it. Because you go in the house, somebody smells cooking chitlins, you can smell the shit all over the place. You can see shit floating on the water. I don't eat anybody's chitlins there. What? I don't eat anybody's shit. That's what you're saying. That's what it is. Okay, brothers and sisters. So, and that's the demon-possessed man. So, Jesus called out the demons. Once he pulled the demon, that's the nature of Islam, right? He had to heal them. He healed them, but he had to raise his Lazarus. So once he had to heal the demon-possessed man, he didn't raise him from the dead, he had to heal him. So he moved the demons from him. That's what's going on right now. See, it happened this year because remember, this is the year that this is the end of Son of Adicious rule. So and they're coming out. They want to get them all out. See? Then once he got out, then he uploads the angel on their mind. So therefore now they got their mind back. They say the same thing in Daniel. About the lion had the two eagle wings. That's America and Britain. And the wings had to be plucked off. And then his mind given back to him. Because he had lost his mind. See? Because Farrakhan took their mind away. Muhammad gave him mind, he took it away. So now he lost their mind. Muhammad took him out of the freezer, right? And thawed him out. And Farrakhan put him in the microwave. They walk around their brain microwave. So once he separated them out, now these things are happening. These scriptures happen right before your eyes. What, you going to deny him? So now nobody was talking about demons before me. Nobody was explaining this. You know who a demon was. So now, once he pulls them out, then what happens? Now the man can talk for himself. See? So Jesus, how did demons come out? The people in NOI itself, they're the ones going to get it. It's going to be they're going to get him throughout himself. That's what's talking about the ancient days when thrones are cast down. You got the followers of Elijah Muhammad. In a few more days, they're the ones going to throw out Farrakhan's people. But they're tired of it. Because you read, they're tired of Farrakhan. They saying they're too weak to say. That's what it's talking about, demon-possessed man. They're tired of him. See? But they're waiting for him to die. Or whatever, he ain't dying fast enough. And he's being called out. Because you read Exodus, what happens? It says, at that time, right, Aaron's followers were separated from Elijah's followers. And then what happened? Elijah's followers slew all of Aaron's followers. Elijah's followers was going to get rid of all of Farrakhan's followers. That's how it's going to happen. It's going to happen within. But it's happening within because of this teaching. So now they can identify who they are, those demons are. Recognize they're not their brothers. They may look like them, walk like them, talk like them. Even Elijah Muhammad said that. So that's a double seed. So you can recognize them by certain characteristics. Talks about the message of black man. Go look at it. I've referenced the page. I'm not going to do it right now. So it's going to happen from within. See? So once that happens, then the man got his right mind back. Now remember, the legion, they wanted to stay. The demons, they wanted to stay. Please don't make us leave the country. But once the Nation of Islam was cleaned up, the demons thrown out. Remember this whole story about the chaff and the wheat? Let them go together. Maybe separate harvest time. That's what's happening. We're harvest time now. So then, once he wants to go. Now Jesus leaving. So he's leaving as elect. He's leaving with Lazarus now. They don't really explain that, but yes, he's going. He's getting out of town. He's getting in the boat and getting out of here. He's a raised Lazarus. He's getting out of here. And the demon-possessed, the man that was demon-possessed, right? Now he's got his mind back. He's speaking for himself now. Because see, who's speaking now? They don't tell you exactly who that person is. Because there's somebody, right, that's in there that's got the balls to get the other ones together, right? To overthrow this mess. He's going to lead it. He's going to lead the overthrow, the rebellion, or whatever you want to call it. He's going to lead it. Now he's the one that's talking. See? He's the one that's talking now. So he's talking to Jesus. Now he wants to go with Jesus. Jesus said, no, you cannot go. See? That gets back to the story about in Daniel, where Michael, fraud, arises, and he gets those who's in the elect. That's Lazarus. He takes them. He delivers them. But then the other ones wait at that time. Some everlasting life, some everlasting shame and torment. But they wasn't delivered. So that means that's the demons and the saints. That's the NOI and the demons. One to destruction and one to life. But if they're not delivered, then how do they go to life? Because they have to go through a tribulation, because that's where Jesus sends them back. He said, no, you have to go and witness. He sends them back. See, because your job as Levites was supposed to prepare the people, you understand, for my presence. And you didn't do that. For 14 years, you let yourself deceive by a son of perdition. So therefore, all the people out there, you should have been out there. After Elijah left, that was your job to go out there and minister to them and prepare them, and you didn't do it. You let Elijah Muhammad turn you around. No, you let Farrakhan turn you around and turn against the people and exploit the people and live off the people rather than go ahead and preach to the people. So now you got to go out. And that's what we read Daniel, that's what it says. They go to tribulation and they to correct other people, to make them, wake them up, show them who their God is. So in other words, when they go in tribulation, they're not just going through suffering. The purpose of going tribulation, part of what they're doing is they're trying to wake up the rest of the people that's left here behind. Read it. That's what they're going to be doing in tribulation. Aside from being hungry and fighting, all that kind of stuff, but waking up the rest of the lost founds. Because there's going to be hell on earth here. Time of unprecedented trouble. Make children gray-headed. These folks are going to be eating their own. We're going to talk about that in a minute. So I just want you to understand that. So we're going to move on to the presentation. So he was not allowed to. So he was told he had to stay back. And Jesus left. Same story. It's very clear. So how come they're not listening to it? Because you got the scriptees, I call them time anchors. See, they can't move forward in time. It's like when your time comes to die, when you know, if you're going to use that ideology that you have a certain time to die, it means you can't go forward past that. They can't. That's why you have the scriptures. That's the purpose of writing this book called the Quran every 25,000 years. The book we call the Quran now is just a chapter in that book called the Quran. Now, why it did that way, I haven't studied that and figured out. Now, it's not my concern right now. But the Elijah Muhammad said the original book that's written every 25,000 years, the entire book is called the Quran. And then all the different books like the Bible, the book we call the Quran, and Torah, and all that kind of stuff, those are chapters that be revealed in the time of their relevance. See? So the Quran had a relevance for 1,000 years. Now it's relevance over. They haven't had a victory in 500 years. See? Then the Injil will be the last book. It's the book that's relevant for the time of unprecedented trouble. And then after we make it to the hereafter, it won't be relevant anymore. Because there's nothing in there that tells us what to do in the hereafter. We have to give another book. And that book will tell us how to deal with it, how to rebuild, where all the technology and everything is. Because all that technology we had before, we still have it. The technology, you know, it took computers to write history. That wasn't done out of just somebody dreaming out of their head. Elijah Muhammad taught like that because he knew nothing about computers. PCs, all that stuff is after him. But all that stuff is, we have it. It's momentous in the heavens and earth. According to verse 7, it says you have a garden as wide as the earth. We have our technology. That's why I said Quran has gods, strong gods. They can't get to it. We have our stuff all planted. Once they're gone, stuff comes back. We bring it back. You see? And then we rebuild. We don't rebuild. We don't have this scientific method like they call it. It's like a blind man or Cain trying to figure his way around. We don't do things like that. We can see into the future as far as we want to. But we do in 25,000 year increments, and there's a reason for that. I'll talk about it in other presentations. So I need to think about it. We don't need to have to invent anything because we look in the future and see it already invented, so we just look at the person and say, okay, that's what he did and do it. I mean, if you want to go that way, we don't have to do stuff like that. That's why I said be a kingdom that will last forever and never gives another people. See? So the scriptees are time anchors. That means that's what it means we have believers and disbelievers. See? Because when they present the book, those that believe in the book, they prepare. In other words, you have spring, summer, fall, and winter. So you give a book for the spring, okay, everybody listens to that, right? And then when summer comes, you give another book. Those want to hold on to the spring book, they're not be as successful. Because that book wasn't meant for, but they want to hold on that book, say, oh, I'm whole. See, they're time anchors. They're locked down in the past. They're a disbeliever. Because this book tells you what to do to prepare for this next. These books are written for times and circumstances, right? See? And so therefore that book is revealed at a time that's relevant. And so those that believe in it, they successfully move on in the time. Those that don't believe in it, they can't move in the time because they don't have the ability to move in time. Like if you bring somebody here that 10,000 years ago today, they couldn't keep up with this. We move ahead of time. They could be the smartest person 10,000 years ago. They could keep up with this. Because we move so far ahead in time. The people here are much smarter than the people were back then. You don't realize it, but it is. Because they're smart enough to live in this day and time. Your death comes when you no longer, right, are in sync with the times. When your brain can't keep up, right? Your brain can't install a mind, is not powerful to install a mind for the reality you're dealing with. So you die. You can't keep up with it. It makes no sense. Your mind can't. So you're out of tune with time. And they're out of touch. They're out of tune with time. The Sunnis, they're dying natural death. They're trying to hold on to something that happened 1,400 years ago. It's not going to happen. Time moves on. Time doesn't move backwards. It moves forward. They're trying to hold you back. That's what I call them time makers. So that means they're holding back. You know what all time makers, the greatest time makers? Those people in the graveyard. They ain't going nowhere, ever. Time is stopped for them. And that's how these scriptees, the demons, that's a whole different story with them because it's saying to them to an effect, right? But because it's just their nature, right? Their whole civilization is run out of time. But I'm talking about the scriptees, right? They may be some Abraham's seed too, but it's still out of time. They're out of touch. They can't keep up. So they can't believe, they can't understand anything we talk about. They hold on to the past. Another way of calling that status quo. The status quo, they're the ones have control of the present. So they don't want to change. When they got control, they don't want to change. That makes them time anchors. They want to keep things like they are because if things change, that means their circumstance will change too. That means they're a billionaire now, but they may be a corporate in the change. They don't want any changes. They're happy the way things are. That's what those who love this world life have no portion after, because the status quo, always in conflict with the emergent. Who's the emergent? They're dissatisfied. They're the ones that see merging. The status quo's whole objective is to keep them down. But how are you going to do that when they're emerging and time is in their favor? Time is time is in their favor. It's against the status quo, but they can't say it because they got the power. So they figure, I got this power. But that power is fading because that power is linked to time, and that times keep moving, so that power is fading. So I hope you understand that. I'm going to a more mathematical definition, but I don't know, that's not the purpose of this. See, so if you're out of time, just like daffodils and lilacs and whatever, when spring is over, summer's over, when fall comes, nothing you can say to save them. Their time is past, they're gone. And so Yaakub's creation only had 6,000 years because then the energy deprivation, that gave them an advantage. Now the time is over. There's nothing on this, there's nothing, I mean, we could have saved them, we could have. Not on this planet, see? Because they can't exist on this planet anymore. Their time is over. We could find places for them in the universe. But why waste time doing that? See, after what they did to us and everything? Because if they had listened to the prophets, I mean, we had to do something because there was promise. They said they would be healed, they listened. But they wouldn't be able to stay here on this earth because it's impossible. The mathematics totally against them. Because they totally against, we had to prepare a special place for them. They couldn't be here. But that's not going to happen, so I don't even want to make sure I'm talking about it, because it's not going to happen. Okay, brothers and sisters. Okay, let's get into the presentation, and so we can wrap up. Again, behind me, that's Savior Day 74. For you that's interested. Okay, okay, I'm doing a different venue today. So let's move on. Okay, brothers and sisters, what I'm trying to do here is I've been talking about this for the last couple of days, and you haven't seen me do this before. I'm talking about the same thing over and over, because we're at this point now. Same thing over and over for the last couple of days. Okay? When they say peace and safety, right? That's what's happening, talking about in the Middle East. Now they're talking about peace and safety suddenly in the Middle East. So when that breaks out, because it's telling you the time frame. So when you see, when they say peace and safety, then sudden destruction comes upon them. And I've been saying the war is within days away. So now, and that would precede it. That's one thing that preceded. When they say peace and safety, so that's one thing you look for. And that's what's happening there right now. See, they make all these peace deals with false Israel. See, think about that. It says, Quran says, do not take Jews and Christians for friends, or you are one of them. But why is Saudi Arabia and all these so-called Sunnis making peace with the Jews and Christians? Think about that one. See? So here it is. See? It says, but the time and season is better, you have no need that right unto you for yourselves know perfectly that the day of the Lord shall come as a thief in the night. That means it's going to come suddenly. And it tells you when. When you see him saying peace and safety, sudden destruction cometh upon them. As travail upon a woman with a child, they shall not escape. See, they're not going to be victorious. So it tells you it's going to come as a thief at night, and that's a hint, because it's going to happen at the time they start saying peace and safety. That means it could happen. It could be happening as I speak. That's how close it is. When they say peace and safety, then sudden, not later, sudden destruction come upon them. And it gives you to characterize it, right? Because it says it will come as a thief in the night. Okay, if you notice this, look at the bottom down there, right? That's where we are right now in time, right? You see the bottom down there? The bottom two, right? The bottom, that's the Shia. Okay? That does represent President Trump. That's one of the trumpets that's abbreviated, right? That's the fifth trumpet. That's another story. Okay, so they're in conflict, and this during the time, I'm not showing it in detail here, I'm showing later, but this is the time of the locusts. See? Because the fifth trumpet is the one that releases the locusts. The first is two groups of locusts. Each one does its damage for 5 months. This first one and the locusts are the demons. They're the greenish yellow demons, what they call pale was really greenish yellow. That means that's the demons amongst us, right? It says they're going, and I talked about this all last year about spark. They be tearing this country apart. That's demons. So they've been doing all this damage to the city for the last 5 months since May. The spark was that George Floyd thing, as I told you, it's be a spark. And it's been going on for 5 months. This is the 5th month. May, June, July, August, September. They said plague was going for 5 months. Okay, that's what's going on now. So you got the plague of the demons. You also got the plague of COVID-19. Now, if you read chapter 11, it says there's 2 witnesses, which is 2 in the bottom there. That's that represents. I should have took those crowns off of there. Anyway, that represents the Shia. It says that they could plague the nations of the earth as often as they will. That means they could. They're the ones that's spreading, right? This virus. That's what Angel says. They don't really know who. They started out in China. I'm not going into details, but it took and mutated. And they don't know how that mutated, and that's what they're suffering with right now. Because now they say you get it multiple times. Even if they came with a vaccine, it's still made just like a cold. The reason why they come with a vaccine for a cold because it mutates all the time. So if they gave you a vaccine for cold A, it won't work for cold B. So they gave one for A and B, it won't work for cold C. So therefore, they can't get a vaccine to get rid of common cold. And this COVID virus is in the same category as the common cold. So how are they going to tell you they're going to cure this when they couldn't cure the common cold? That's the reason why they give you shots every year for the flu, because it keeps mutating. So every year you have to get different shots because you have a different version of it. That's what mutation means. It mutates from A to B, B to C, so forth. So you have 2 types of plagues going. You have the plagues of the demons, and you got this COVID-19. That's what this is telling you. See? Okay. That's where we are now. Now watch it. See? Then the war breaks out. That's what Stephen Knight, right? Now, it's about to happen. The war. That's the war. See? When they get kicked out, that's when that's when it says Michael's angels go to war with the dragon's angels. And Michael's angels, they kick the dragon angels out of heaven. So before, if you saw this before, right? You saw the Shia, they wasn't in control. America, falls Israel, and Britain was in control of the Middle East. Now it's saying the war, and now they have control. That's what it means, a sudden destruction. See? Okay? And there you see the locust there. The cloud, that's also a locust. See? So that should tell you That's another hint there, because locusts will go 5 months. This is the 5th month. War, war, war. Okay, now it says, there will be signs in the sun, and the moon, and the stars, and on the earth the stress of nations with perplexity, seas and waves roaring. Now you have to understand, the angel to understand this. There'll be signs in the sun. There's a sun there. The sun represents the lamb. In the moon represents the Sunni, right? In the stars there are the 4 winds. In this case, the 4 winds. And the stress of nations. Well, no, I'm not going to do that. And stress of nations on the earth. Remember, the earth represents European countries. So they are in distress. They are in distress right now with perplexity. They're confused. This virus, they don't know what to do. Should it shut down? Should it keep going? Right? We have the deaths. Should we wear masks? Should we not wear masks? Should we close the economy? Right? They're perplexed. They're in perplexity and they're in distress. That's the nations, the European nations, that's including America, that's their perplexity now and in distress. That's what it's saying. So there you see the signs, right? And you see those things, and you see it, and with perplexity, and the seas and waves roaring. Who the seas? The seas represent Oriental countries. And the waves, in this case, the waves are above the sea, right? That's the Asian countries, primarily India. That also represents the leopard in Daniel, yellow with brown spots, right? So they see the way they're roaring now because what? Trump is drumming up a war with China. He's saying that China, they're trying to say it's the China virus, and now trying to make a case that China actually did it on purpose. If they can make the case that China made this least verb on purpose, that means China declared biological war against the world. That's as bad as nuclear war. They'd have to look at it the same way. They try to make that case. Remember how they built the case up on Saddam Hussein? By the time they got finished, the man had 5 heads and about 4 asses, and he had pitchforks coming out of all his toes. When they got finished him, and that's what they're trying to build a case now. They're trying to put all this on China. And China has something to do with it. America has something to do with it too. I'm not going to talk about that. But that's what it says. It says the sea and the waves are roaring. Now, if we go in, and we see in a minute, we go into Daniel, it talks about this because the leopard, when you understand Daniel, also represents that goat that had a horn between his eyes. And it said it was enraged, right? So we'll see that as we move on. So that's what it's talking about right here. See? In other words, so Trump is drumming up all this anger and stuff in China, right, with Hong Kong and everything. China's making threats. See? Sunnis are all getting all, not Sunni, but India's getting, they ain't telling, reporting that, and it's getting, upset because now they're getting hit with these plagues and things too. They're trying to blame it all on China. Okay, war drums. Now, this little segue here, but this identifies the demons. It identifies a lot of things, because demons are defined in the angel. So it says, I saw the mouth of the dragon, out of the mouth of the wild beast, the mouth of the false prophet, 3 unclean spirits. And it explains the spirits are demons. There are 3 demons. And so once you understand who the demons are, you understand who the dragon is, who the false prophet is, right? And who's the wild beast. And there you got it. The wild beast, right? See, that represents Africa, or it's a Christian Africa. It's going to be and run by Obama. That's no story. I'm not going to it now. You're going to hear from him soon, right? He's also the rider of a white horse, because demon also represents horses. He's in the first seal. Anyway, so that represents, that's the wild beast he's talking about. Okay, the dragon. There's the other demon. That shows who the dragon is. The mouth is the one that's right under it. If you look at it as a face, You have to understand angel language. And so the false prophet is false Israel. That's why I underscored false prophet. So those are the demons. Farrakhan represents the top demon, right? The Christian blacks represents the bottom demon. The ones raising all this hell out there now. The demon, the Lord locust plagues. That's why it's not pale, it's greenish yellow. That's why it's called locust, because locusts have the same color. Okay? So the NOI is not a demon. They're the tribe of Levites, the original people. So it says he's going out, the kings of households to lead together to war of the day of the great, the God Almighty. We'll talk about that in a minute. I missed something here. Okay. Now, here we see, this what says, we see Jerusalem surrounded by armies. This will happen after the war takes place. So this is angel language. So this is after Babylon falls, America falls, Britain is thrown to the sea, as it says in chapter 18, right? She has risen. They're all armies. Now, it's not talking about Jerusalem is followed by physical armies like in the past, because Jerusalem has been surrounded by armies for the last 70 years. It's angel language, right? So at this point, now the NOI has been freed of demons, and now they listen to Suleiman. He's cleaned them up. See, now they're listening to him. Okay? So, and it says, when you see his configuration, that means the configuration of chapter 18, where she has risen, took over the Middle East, America and Britain is thrown out of the Middle East, and false Israel is no more. That's what it means when you see surrounded by armies, right? We see Jerusalem surrounded by armies to know that desolation is near. And those who are in Judah flee to the mountains. Who are the mountains? When you see up there, what was it for? We'll see the next slide, where you see what was the four winds. Those are also the mountains. Read chapter 17, also called mountains. So you see it in a minute, that those who are in the midst of her depart, and those who are in the country enter her. For these are days of vengeance. All things which are written may be fulfilled. See? And down there said, they will fall by edge. Okay, we're not talking about that just yet. See? So the next page here. Oh, I guess we need to. Okay, let's go back. Okay. So you see what it says, and those who are pregnant and those who are nursing babes in those days. See, it says, there'll be great distress in the land. Remember? Distress of the nations. Talk about that. That's the European nations. They're in distress. So it's talking about them again. Right? In the land. And wrath upon these people. Who? The ones, right? It's talking about ones who are pregnant. What do you mean pregnant? Because when you look at it, who's pregnant? America and Britain's pregnant because they got something under them. Those is two that's pregnant, and the wrath is upon them. See? They had NOIs under one and the demons on the other. That's what it means. Those two. See? And they're part of the earth. That means they're in distress. Remember we talked about before a minute, distress, right? And perplexity of the earth, it means European countries. They're in distress, great distress, right? And they're pregnant. And it says, wrath upon this people, wrath is upon them. This is 2020, time of their judgment. And they will fall by a sword and led away captive in all the nations. And Jerusalem will be trampled by Gentiles, the time of Gentiles will fill. That means it says, those who lead into captivity shall go into captivity. Who is the primary agents of our enslavement? Britain and America. To those who lead into captivity will go into captivity. Those who lead in slavery will take, will be taken into slavery. That's another way of saying it. They will led into captivity all the nations. So as you have done, shall be done to you. It says that chapter 18 says, give them double what they did to you. So they're going to be taken into captivity. That's what it's talking about there. Let's move on. Okay, now the war is lost. It says the powers of heaven be shaken. What does that mean? The powers of heaven be shaken. Okay, who are the powers of heaven? Remember, where does this war take place? It says the war took place in heaven, broke out in heaven. So that means who was in power in heaven? The Europeans were in power. Dragons, angels, they were in power. But their powers are shaken. They have no more. Their powers are shaken now. They was the powers in heaven. Now they're lost. They're kicked out. See? So it tells you, at this point in time, once they're kicked out, and she has control of the region, the war is lost, then men's hearts fail them for fear of the expectation of those things coming upon earth. Remember, that's where the stress is in the earth, right? On the European countries. For the powers of heaven will be shaken. They lost the war, and now their hearts are failing for the fear of expectations. And it hasn't happened yet. They expect, why are they expecting this to happen? What make them, are they prophets? How would they expect it to happen? Because now the Suleiman, right? He's the voice, he's the only voice in town. And now because now they recognize that we're the true seed of Abraham, and that it says this angel, this gospel will preach to all the world, and then the end will come. So now they're listening, and he's telling them what's going to happen. That's why now they're in fear, because they say, oh man, because now they realize we're true seed of Abraham, that he's the lamb, right? And so now they're listening, and that's the expectation, because it hasn't happened yet. The fear of expectation. Why would they expect? How would they expect? It means they have to know something about the future. Who's telling about the future? Who's telling about what's about to happen? Because now they see the scripture. They can understand. We the true seed of Abraham. They understand the scripture now. So now what's about to happen to them, they know they are the ones that oppressed us. So now they're freer of what's about to happen to them, because they can see the scripture. See the scripture tells exactly what's about to happen to them. Okay. And then at this particular time, America's at war in Europe, Eastern Europe and Western Europe. Russia represents Eastern Europe, and EU represents Western Europe. That was NATO, but now remember Trump's having trouble. He's fighting with them, so now they can be in war against them. You see, so they're at war there. They're also at war with China and India, because that's why. Remember, he's pumping this war with China, and America's at war with Britain is also. So now they're at war. They kicked out of the Middle East, and now they're at war with Europe and with North Korea and China. See? So now, at this point in time, right, it says, and gave worship to the dragon, because it gave authority to the wild beast, and gave worship to the wild beast, said, who's like the wild beast, who's there to make war with it? In other words, the power dynamic shifts over to Europe, over to Orient and India. So now that's why that beast has 10 horns and 10 crowns upon his horn, because now the authority shifts to him. They're superpowers now, because America's bogged down. He's already lost one war in the Middle East. Everybody's looking at that and saying, man, America ain't tough as they thought, because America's not nowhere as powerful as they pretend to be. They're a paper tiger. But once they get kicked out of the Middle East by the Shia, Farah's going to be in on that, because it says Michael and his angels. Once they kicked out of there, they're just going to look at them, oh, they ain't as powerful as they thought they were, and now they bogged down over in Europe. See? So now China and India rises up. That's what it says. They had authority went to them. They're superpowers now. See, and it's three of them. It's them along with it's a scarlet-colored beast. He'll be alongside. Remember, there was a beast that had 7 heads and 10 horns. He had no crowns on his heads or horns. That's Obama. That's that beast. That's because Africa's gonna come together. All these things happen at once. Africa's coming together. They're going to split in 2 parts. The whole continent is split in 2. It's not going to be all these nations anymore. The 2 parts can be a Christian part and an Islamic part. And Obama's going to head up the Christian part. And they're going to be, that's why it says, one beast has 7 heads, 10 horns, and 10 crowns upon his horns. There's another beast, a scarlet-colored beast, had 10 heads and 10 horns, but it had no crowns next, but he'd be alongside. There you go right there. That's the tail. He's the tail of the beast. And they're going to all be together. They'll be all allied together, right? See, but the four winds, that's when the 4 winds blow. See, so who released those 4 winds? Fry released those 4 winds. See, why? Because at that point they was about to kill us. See right here, when you see they was pregnant, but they was about to abort us. American Britain was about to abort us, all the demons and the saints alike. That's why Farah had to act. That's why the four winds, because a time of unprecedented trouble. That means unprecedented trouble. When's the most unprecedented time of your life? It's a time of death. Ain't no time in your life. That's the most unprecedented time in your life, because you ain't died but once. That's the time of death. That's time they're about to kill us. They're about to abort us right there. And that's why Farah has to act. I said the days will be shortened. That's what comes as thief come, because they have a plan. Now Allah has a plan. They're about to abort us right there. And so that's why the four winds had to blow before they could exercise their plan. That's why it says in the sixth seal, right, it says that wind blew, right, and because it made the fig throw its figs, unripe figs, they wasn't ready. See, because they preparing to get rid of us. They wasn't quite ready yet, but Pharaoh knew that he made this happen. He had the war happen, and four winds happened before they could execute their plan. It says, read it. It says, let's deal shrewdly with them. That means get rid of them without them thinking without them feeling what we're trying to do. It said it right there. It says, let's deal shrewdly with them. At first they tried abortion. When that failed, then they said, well, let's kill them all, throw them into the river. See? So their goal is to get rid of us one way or another. Both of them, I mean, abortion, or if you can't kill us in the womb, you kill us outside the womb. Either way, their sentence on us is death. And that's why Pharaoh has to move those four winds just in time. That's the whole story about Abraham, right, taken up to the mountain, and just before he stabbed in the heart, Abraham see Isaac, right, before he stabbed in the heart, Pharaoh grabs and saves him, saves his life. That's a time of unprecedented trouble. That's what's about to happen now. You got these clowns talking NBA and NFL and all this. There should be folks on this. They're going to pay the price for their ignorance. They're out there distracting you, talking all this BS don't mean anything. See, this is what's happening right now. See, this is what's about to happen. The four winds haven't blown, but they're about to blow. When they blow just before, because if they had waited a little more longer, they had plans to get rid of it. That's the whole virus. That's where it started out, to get rid of us and to get rid of Africa. Because right now is a battle of resources. What they're not telling you is they cannot supply the world with food anymore. They can't feed the world. They know if they had that, the world's going to go into chaos. That's why Bill Gates has said we got to cut the population back. I'm not going into details about that. That's what's happening. They can't tell you that. So the first one to get rid of will be us. Then Africa. They want to get rid of that because Africa's the richest continent on the planet. And they can't stand those niggas got all that wealth and everything sitting on it. And so the plan was to get rid of us and them. Okay, let's move on. That was the purpose of this virus. Then it backfired, mutated that little story. Okay, the four winds have blown. Now here it is. See where it says, the first one, I prophesied as I was commanded, and as I prophesied, there was a noise. Behold, they get rallied, and bones came together, bone to bone. I looked, and behold, sinews were on them, and flesh grew, and skin covered them, but there was no breath in them. That was the first resurrection. Then know I unto Elijah Muhammad, the widow's son. That's the first one. They're telling you that. Then, verse 9, then he said to me, prophesy to the breath. Prophesy, what some place say winds, some say breath, right? So actually I should have, well, anyway, you get the point. Prophesy to the breath. Prophesy Suleiman, son of man, and say to the breath, Suleiman, the breaker of the seals, son of man, Suleiman, that's where it comes from, right? It's Latin. Su means son. Man, son of man. Suleiman. Thus say the Lord God, come from the four winds. See, now the four winds, O brethren, breathe on these slain, they come to life. So I prophesied, he's commanded me, and breath came to them, and they came and life stood upon their feet, exceedingly great army. So they came as a result of the four winds. There you see it right there. That's the resurrection of the wheat and the chaff. See? As you see right there, the clouds represents the wheat and the chaff. So now they came together. They've been risen. Okay? Remember, this war is going on. All this stuff's going on at the same time. See? Then, at this point, and they will see the Son of Man coming with power in the clouds. Well, actually, I'm going to allude later on that one, because that's where he saw him right there. He came in the clouds. See? Suleiman, that's the lamb, the son there, came in the clouds. Right? Now, and now when these things happen, look up and lift your heads, because your redemption draws nigh. It means you're going to be delivered. And our Lord should be delivered. You're going to hear the faintest sounds of raging warnings of hell. You'll be delivered. That's what tell you, look up. And what I keep telling you, if you see Abraham and you ain't out doing stupid stuff, right? Forget all this atonement stuff. You already paid the price. You have nothing to worry about. All this hell is about to come out. You're going to be delivered out of it. Don't worry, brothers and sisters. Just keep your eyes open. Don't let anybody snatch this knowledge from you. Study the Injil, upload it. That says, lift up your heads. Don't get afraid. Lift your head, because your redemption draws nigh. It's time now you return right to your land. And I saw out of the mouth of a dragon. Okay, this is second. Okay, it's two parts here. See, and they are the spirits of demons doing signs which going out upon the kings and have lead them to the war of the great. Okay, that's the demons now. They're down here at the bottom. They've been cast out. See, and now America's at war. They're at war already, but now they're also at war. You understand? Internally, because the first 5 months of demons, right? They was plaguing the cities. This 5 months, all these demons around here, and there's millions of them, because it says half of the black people in America are demons. That's what Angel tells us. That means there are 34 million, 17 million of them. They've been going crazy, because they've already been rejected, and the devil's still not going to accept them. And they got China and India about to invade, and all the stuff going on. There's tears country apart. That gets back to the story of Samson. Samson was a demon. He went through slavery with us. He got his strength back, but didn't get his eyes back. That means he wasn't original. But he was pissed off. He got mad because the slave master, the daddy did to him, slave master. So he positioned himself between two mountains, between two pillars. See right there, the demon, the green one? He positioned between two pillars, of Britain and America. And he pulls them down and kills himself in the process. That speaks to that. It's not an analogy, that is what it's talking about. Okay, so that's the second plague. This plague will last 5 months. Once they're cast down, this plague will last 5 months. I get some time frame. But I want to show you one other thing here. See right here? Okay, now, the yellow and the brown right there, right? Those are the horns. That also represents China and India. See sackcloth between them? When you read Noah, it said there was these locks that was holding the flood back. Remember, the sea and the yellow represents the sea, and the brown represents the waves or the rivers. That's the flood. But what's holding it back? That's what's holding them back. That's the locks that's holding them back. Sackcloth. They're between them and the earth. They're holding them back. Then they were removed to make way for the flood. Okay, now that's New Jerusalem there. That's, that's the ark up top. Okay, on the bottom, right? That's the dragon and his whatever. And there you go. See, that's the ark on top, right? With the moon, that's also the waters. So it's rest on the waters. So the waters are part of the other waters. Remember, the waters represents the tribulation. There's the flood that drowns the earth. But those are also waters too. That's the tribulation. That means the Sunni and the Sunni will go, the Sunni as well as the Nation of Islam, they go into tribulation together, and they're going to be at war with each other. The Sunni is going to attack the Nation of Islam here in America while they're going, because that's where tribulation is going to take place here in America, right? So as soon as they're here, they're going to be attacking. Everybody's going to be attacking everybody. And the evangelicals going to go crazy. It's going to be a total disaster. And it says that now, let's talk about this part in Daniel, at the bottom there. First, let's look at the top. The 10 horns you saw and the wild beasts, these will hate the harlot, having desolated, make her naked, and flesh to eat of her, and they'll burn her down in fire. For God gave in the hands of them to do the opinion and do the opinion and give the kingdom of them to wild beasts till they finish the words of God. So it's telling you that they did it because God gave them, inspired them to do it. He put in their hearts to do it. We said, how did Farad do that? He says these 10, right? These 10 horns, right? That's the ones right there, the 10 horns. That's of the beast, right? They're going to hate the harlot. Who's the harlot? Harlot is America, right? And they say, well, they will hate the harlot, make her desolate. That means they're going to invade her. Okay? They're going to invade her, break her, right? Defeat her. They're going to invade America and defeat it. And it said they're going to make her naked. That means they're going to take all her wealth and all her people, take all her net, make it naked, right? Going to take all her wealth and everything. And then her fleshes they will eat. That means they're going to take all their able-bodied young people. Remember I said they're going to captivity? They're going to take them back out of here as slaves into slavery. And then they will burn it down. America will be totally burned down. Remember, fall of America is all in flames. What part of America are you going to be holding on to, Farrakhan? Going to burn it all down. Also, the same thing in chapter 18. And why? How are they going to do it? How Farad gets them to do it? Okay, think this thing through. That represents India and China. Their total economies are dependent upon the Middle East. Their total economies are dependent upon the Middle East. Excuse me, totally. Particularly Saudi Arabia. Their oil, total dependence. Okay? So now they are in control of the Middle East. You see in chapter 18 what happened. The European countries, right, their economy collapsed overnight. How did their economy collapse overnight when Babylon fell? Because they was helping in this war. They were assisting America in this war in Britain. So now after the war is over, and now that she has total control of that region, all the holy sites, Medina, Mecca, all of it, Jerusalem, all of it, Farad as they're at the helm, right? So they cut the spigot off because Europe is totally dependent upon, Western Europe is also dependent upon oil. So now their economies break overnight. And so China and India sees that. And so they don't want them to cut off for them. So Farad tell them, hey, you evade America. They hate America anyway. Remember the waves of the seas and the waves are roaring. So it said, if you want to continue getting this oil supply, you have to invade America. That's what it's telling you right there. Because if you read the goat also represents them, their horn, their eyes between. The eyes is Farad. You have to go into Daniel. I'm not going to explain that, but you have to go into Daniel and say, he's the one's guiding them. Remember, he takes down America. It was the riots that took down Babylon. Farad takes down America. He's using them to do it. Elijah Muhammad said they were using nations to take down America. That's what's happening here. See? He takes it down. But it's Suleiman that's judging America. He's the high priest. He's the God over here that's judging America. How about, it's two of them. One's the Holy One and one's the God. See, he's Suleiman. He's David's son. David is Farad. Suleiman was his son. David was the king sitting on the throne, but Suleiman was the high priest. He's the one over here in the west. Farad is make the war in the east. Suleiman's over here preparing our people to get out of here. Joshua's going to take them home. Remember, on the way home, to fight back home, it was two. It was Farad in the clouds, protecting them by day and night. And it was Joshua on the ground. He was a general on the ground. He was handling the ground forces, and Farad was in the clouds handling the air force. It's right there, brothers and sisters. Okay, so let's look at what Daniel has to say about it. Now, this up here was chapter 17 for your reference point in the top part. The second part now is talking about what Daniel has to say. And I was considering, suddenly a male goat came from the west across the surface of the earth. It means it's coming from the west. It means crossing over across the surface of the whole earth without touching the ground. It means it comes over Ocean. He's coming from the west. I mean, he's coming eastward. He's coming to America. He's coming over the Pacific Ocean. Right? That's the goat. See, a male goat. And the goat had notable horn between his eyes. See, you got to understand what that horn is. I'm not going into detail about that. Right? Between his eyes. Whose eyes? The eyes of rods guide him. Then he came to the ram. Who's the ram? A ram is false Israel and America and Britain. The ram is false Israel, but the two horns are America and Britain. The ram itself is false Israel, but two horns are America and Britain. He said the greatest one came up last. That means Britain. First, you had two world empires, two Caucasian world empires. The first was Britain. They never had a world empire before that because everything came out as Gog and Magog. There was only two Caucasian world powers ever been, and Britain was the first one, right? And then the next one that came up, America was bigger. It's the second horn. He was even bigger. See, and he was standing, and two horns they had been standing beside the river. See, that's America, right? That's the ram. See, and it says, and he ran at him with furious power. He was angry. Remember, say he was angry with rage. See, so China and India is enraged. When they come in invade, they come enraged. They're angry. Right? Where it says waves was roaring and attacked the ram. Because, you know, Trump's going to try to get all the, Trump's has got to try to get all the, Trump is trying to get all the nations against China and all this stuff. And, you know, he won't allow them to play their apps and all that kind of stuff here, TikTok, all this stuff that's going on. So now they're angry. He's trying to stop the Indians from coming over here and, you know, trying to stop them come over here and take these jobs and carry on. You see, I'm taking the jobs back from China. China and India depend on those things. That's how they got their power. See, you don't understand what's going on. Trump is trying to break their power. If he stops sending jobs to China, that breaks their power. They became powerful because of those jobs. They're trying to keep from us. They'd rather them have it than us. And now China became back in Elijah Muhammad's time, China was a basket case. Now it's a world power because of the job they sent them. They're Trump is trying to stop that. And how did India became a powerhouse, a technological powerhouse. Now, you've been to Silicon Valley lately? Who's running it? I think it was Google. Is it Google? Which one is it? It's got an Indian running it. You see? So he succeeded in stopping those visas and stopping some of the jobs that would break their power. So they're angry. Plus, he blamed this virus on them. So they get angry over it. So now they're coming after the ram. See? And they cast him down to the ground and trample on him. So he says first he broke the two horns. That means he breaks America and Britain. But the ram itself, he stamps it down to the ground and get rid of it. That means there's no false. This was going to be totally gone. See? And there was no one that could deliver the ram out of his hand. That's when they invade. That's what you see here. That's also the Noah's flood. See? Because this is a flood of humanity, not a flood of water. So that's the flood. So they invade America, and now America and Britain, and also Europe afterwards. And so they wipe out everybody on the earth, not the planet Earth. European countries represent the earth and the angel. If you don't understand the key, you don't know what you're talking about. The earth is not going to be destroyed. The earth represents the European countries. So they're drowned. That's what it says. So it says when they come here, they're going to lay siege to America. They're going to cut off the food supply. You already see it happening right now. You don't realize that all those fires and stuff on the West Coast, that's the breadbasket of America. They're destroying farmland and everything else out there. That's going to affect, they don't tell you about that, but they already have problem resources in this country to begin with, and now you're going to have food shortages. But when they come in that way, and they're going to cut that, they're going to come in on the West Coast, talking about China and India, they'll come in, they'll cut off the food supply and everything. They say people's going to go hungry, they'll be starving. It tells you when you go to tribulation, you also be going through hunger, be fighting hunger and everything. But these people may starve it. So they eat their own children. And some of these people eat their own children before they eat their pets. But who do you think they will eat before their pets and their children? You think about that one. That's why I said children be gray-headed. When they say time unprecedented trouble, they're not playing. So all these clowns right talking this crap, they haven't broken any seals. They don't understand anything, right? They haven't broken any seals. They don't understand the scripture, right? They just run out of their mouth, pulling crap out of their ass, calling it honey. Let them keep on, because they will give account. Because every one of our brothers and sisters lost. Says our people are lost for lack of knowledge. Why? Because these folks are messing with the knowledge. They get the knowledge and they stand in the way. They will be called to account. And blood's on their hands and bleeding. They will pay fully. So you keep on Negroes with your BS out there talking, I'm the seventh man, I'm this, and all this and all that stuff. And when the truth's out there, you have no idea what the hell you're talking about because you haven't broken any seals. That means you should be talking anyway. And you hear this message out here is clear and make it clear to you. I show you how to figure it out yourself. And you keep you're just steering everybody away from it. You think you can shut this down with your mouth? That's what you people on the news, they're trying to shut down their mouth. They said they were trying to put the light of a light with them, a lot light out of their mouths, but a lot of reflect this light. So y'all keep talking. See if you can put it out. Okay, brothers and sisters, let's see what's next here. Okay, so we're going to briefly talk about these locusts again. I said there's two phases of locusts. Now, the thing about this locust, see, I remember they had a plan, and we have a plan, and Pharaoh had a plan. That's why you have to understand the angel. Now, I'm going to go over this briefly. What you see on both sides is the same thing on both sides, right? Their plan's on the left, Pharaoh's plan's on the right, right? Now, their plan on the left is a story has outlined in Genesis about Adam and Eve, right? On the right is the way it's outlined in Angel. There's only a minor difference, and the reason that is, you'll see in a minute. See? Because this was their plan, and this is why Pharaoh had to move quickly, you understand? And this is kind of explained in the sixth seal. Okay, here. Now, what happens is that this is where we are right now. This is the sackcloth represents the witnesses. It's just the Shia, right? Okay, they're moving up. That's the first locust plague, right? That's what said. This regular locust it started in May, right? For 5 months, so we're in the 5th month now. See? So this is the conflict that you're having. You see ever more conflict between the Shia and America, Britain, as far as Israel, moving, they're getting closer together. That's what we see right here, because before the bottom was on the bottom, it was cast down, but now the conflict between them is increasing. That's what this is showing here. And remember, there's 2 plagues now. Remember, the 2 witnesses says they can inflict this plague as often as they wish on the earth. So that means Europe and America is inflicted with plagues. Also, the demons, the locusts. That's the first 5. So that's where we are right now. We're at the end of this period. That's from May to September. 5 months. So we are right now. Okay? Now, if you look here, right, on the left, according to the Adam and Eve story, Adam and Eve was told not to eat of the tree of knowledge of good and evil. Let's see if we back up for a minute, if I show that. When you see the NOI there, that's the tree of good. There's no such tree have 2 fruits. There's several trees. There's the tree of good, the tree of evil, the tree of life, another tree they can do whatever they want to do with. So several trees there. So the NOI is 1 tree, and that's the knowledge of good, and knowledge of evil is the Christian, the demons, right? Okay, so they was told not to eat, and they did. When you eat something, you consume it. That means you take it out of existence. You turn it into nothing, right? They told don't eat it. It means the story of Job. You could beat them, but you can't kill them. See, they told you can do all this stuff, you can press them and everything, but you can't kill them. And they told don't eat. So they told what Adam and Eve said, the day you do it, that's the day you will die. It means the year they do it, that's the year they will die. And they did anyway. Right? There you go. Anyway. See? So they attacked us. I said they're going to attack us. That's their plan. That was their plan. See? But on the right here, what happened? Before they could do that, right? America's at war now. They're actually at war with Iran. Remember, they got their alliance over there right now. They got the Sunni, they're dragging their ally with America, Britain, France, Israel. That means he's one of them. That's what the Quran says. And and Shia is Fraud's army, his angels. So they're at war now. That's why you see them covering each other. They're actually at war now. That means Fraud did this, right? Before they was able to get the configuration on the left, before Adam and Eve eats. See? That's what he had to do before, because they did that first, they would have got rid of us. So that was the way, that was their plan. That's why 7 days had to be shortened. So Fraud goes into action before they could pull their plan, if you understand it. Okay, let's move on. Then Fraud goes to get control of 4 winds, and then, right, then they eat. But let's look at this closely now. What happened after they ate? It says the eyes became open. Okay, I didn't show it here, but the original nation also, right, the woman also is called the 7 eyes. So that means Noi and the demon there, they will have eyes. There'll be eyes. So when Adam and Eve covers them, that means they cover their eyes. So now they could see. That's what I'm talking about. Now they could see. Once they saw, right? Remember, that's the 2 witnesses are called sackcloth. So once the 8 eyes came open, what? Then they covered themselves. See? Then they covered themselves. That was their plan. Then the war would happen. So their plan was to get rid of us first and then go to war. But Farah preempted them, right? And he took and went to war first before they could do that. See? So then they attack anyway. They're at war, but they attack anyway, right? And that's why you have to have the 4 winds hit them hard. See? That's 2 of the 4 winds, the first 2 of them. They had to hit them hard. You see? Let me show you something else real quick. Now, I shouldn't do this, but I'm going to do it. Remember it said the dragon, right, with his tail, he was dragged to the stars, right, 1/3 of stars, and cast down to the earth. That's what's talked about, because those winds are also called stars. And what's the tail of the dragon? See right there? The tail of the dragon, the top tail, all this is the dragon's tail right here. But the top of the tail ends right there, where you see Farrakhan, the demon. And then you got 2 winds, those are also stars. So if all these are stars here, that's where it normally would be. This would be 1/3 of them. And those are 2 he cast down to earth. But he couldn't cast to earth until they in this configuration down here, because these represent the earth. So that's a little more complicated, but if you caught it, you caught it. So that's the 4 winds. So he has hit them hard, because they're getting ready to wipe us out. They lost the war. So remember, when they lose this war, they know. They know exactly who we are, and they got to get rid of us. They move fast to get rid of us. We the evidence. Because they know we the ones going to rise up. And they said, because remember it says, let's deal shrewdly with them. At least a war breaks out, and they join our enemies, right? And then leave the country. This was going to happen here. So now, hey, they're afraid they're going to help China and India, right? And then flee. And that's exactly what happens. That's why you got to read that carefully, right? But during this time, this is where Suleiman is here, right? Where you see under that is Noi. He's preaching to them. He's cleaning them up. That's what it says. He coming with full of soap. He cleaned up, right? He cleaned them up at this point. See? And this is where demons get kicked out. So then the winds hit, bam! See? Hit them hard. You see? To prevent them from getting rid of us, because they're going to have got rid of some of us. See? That's where Farad goes in action. See? And Suleiman goes back up to his elect. Okay? See? The 4 winds just blew now, right? Now the resurrection takes place. So the only difference between this and the one on the left is that point right here where I was telling you their plan That's the way Adam says, Adam, if you restore Adam and Eve, the way they say it, right? See, the only difference right there is that they're planning to get rid before the war, but fraud, the war happens before they was able to do it. That's what it says in the sixth seal, right? It says that wind came, it says, and it cast across the fig tree. The Israel is also called in the scriptures the fig tree. False Israel also called it fig tree. So his figs would be Adam and Eve, or American Britain. It says they was able to cast, for they was unripe. They weren't ripe yet. They weren't ready to do that plan before the wind blew. The wind is a sackcloth. They blew, and before they was able to, they was ripe to do their plan. That's what that's talking about. So I went to action. So he's guarding us. He's guarding me. That's what happens here. Then the winds blow. The four winds blew, right? And then the resurrection. Chaff and we just resurrect together. Okay? So the only difference was their plan to get rid of us before I went to action before they did it. See? And now we're delivered. See? But the NOI is left behind. See, with the wars represents the Sunni. Right? They're left behind. Right? Because the ark is the top part, three top part, and it's riding on the water. So the water is not in, they're not in the ark. NOI is not in the ark. It's in the waters. It's in the tribulations, in turmoil. It's still in the waters. That's where the turmoil is, the waves, see. So now we delivered, because she ain't coming over here. So we're over there now. We're over there now. See? And then you have right down here, now you got the demons, the second locust plague. See? That's the second one. That's 5 months. They've been cast out. And now they're tearing this country apart. Nothing like happening now. They actually be a war. There ain't gonna be no protests and rioting. Be war. They're gonna be an army too. See? A demon army. Fighting the devil army. Right? And they're all fighting against each other. And then that's gonna make it easier for China, India to come to take over. Okay, brothers, so that's pretty much it. Hope you understand. I think I said quite a bit here. Went on a while. I tried to say a lot of information. So this is what you're going to see. The reason I keep emphasizing this, because that's where we are right now. We're not years away anymore. Not even months away. We're at it. So I came at it about 3 different ways. I tried to be more detailed, now more comprehensive. But that's what you're going to see. And the thing is that they're talking about the 10 virgins, those that took extra oil. That means they studied more, paid attention. Once Suleiman was announced, they went right in. The other ones, they didn't. They went to sleep and they was left out. Don't be those left out, brothers and sisters. See? Forget all this BS or distractions. It's time for us to go home. These clowns, they do everything they can to distract you. Everything they can to distract you. Doing everything they can to distract you, to turn you away. Oh, message black man, we stick with that. Okay, we'll stick with that. Did that explain anything that's happening right now? Did that explain anything that's going on right now? You find any information that covers what's going on right now? Fall of America has something, but still don't explain. Don't say anything about COVID there. Don't explain anything about this I'm telling you. Doesn't explain who the real dragon is. Oh, well, the dragon, a lot of times, well, yeah, he's guessing because he didn't know. We had no problem with that. He had the tools, use the best way you can. Was told, do whatever you can to raise up the widow's son. No problem with that. But he didn't break the seals. That means he don't know what the angel means. He's guessing at it. He get some pretty good guesses. Unless he broke the seals. Now, if you pretty broke the seals, now just shut up. Because only one person can do it. Somebody already done it. I'm redundant. I mean, I'm just irrelevant. But it says, the Lamb's Book of Life, it says, what does it say about that? It says, if anybody tries to come in any other way than through the Lamb, it says they're a liar and a thief. And maybe we know how we deal with liars and thieves. Cut the hands off, cut the tongues out. The only way you can get in here, it says it clearly. If you're not in the Lamb's Book of Life, you're not getting anywhere. Not Farah's Book of Life, not Elijah's Book of Life, the Lamb. Who's the Lamb? The one that broke the seals. If Farah broke the seals, show evidence. If it broke seals, how can you know what this stuff means? You have no idea. So that's how you know there's liars out there. Because if they don't have broke the seals, they don't know who broke the seals. That means they have, by definition, because they tell you the Bible is true, right? Then if it's true, that means they don't know what the hell they're talking about. If they haven't broke the seals, they have no idea what that stuff means. That means they're deceiving people openly. They know they're liars. Because they're not telling you, I think this is what it means. I'm guessing. Don't tell you, no, it means this. Casting evil suggestions with firm resolution. Now, if they came and said, I think this would mean, I'm straight out kind of idea, you could deal with that. That's not what they're telling you. See? That's the extent that they can talk. Other than they ain't talk scripture at all. They got all kind of stuff. See? Because they know they're not, demons know, they know they ain't making it. They want to keep you here because they can suck your blood. Democratic Party. See? But they're all against you. The whole world's against you. They were reneging on the promise. Abraham a promise. They was part of that covenant because we agreed to make the sacrifice to save their ass. You see? And they agreed that we would be the top tribe. And we'd inherit the best part of the planet Earth, which is currently called Saudi Arabia. All that sand. Yeah, sand's protected. That sand, that earth, all that land's got top. You know what topsoil is? Topsoil comes from inorganic matter, organic matter decayed. That's what topsoil is, right? That's the nutrient stuff. You know, when you release yourself, that stuff goes in the ground. That's like fertilizer. They use it for fertilizer. They use animal waste for fertilizer, but you got to put organic matter back there so it builds it. And so therefore, that's oil comes from organic matter. And they got, look at all the oil coming out of Saudi Arabia. That means that place wasn't a desert. That place used to be lush with life for millions and millions and millions of years for all that oil to be under there. Because that's what it is. That's the result of decayed organic matter. That's the same stuff that produces topsoil. So if they got oil, that means they got tons and tons of yards and yards deep of topsoil under that sand. The sand was put there, like Muhammad said, the sand is man-made. It was not naturally made. Plus, so-called Saudi Arabia is inland. So somebody put that sand there. And the sand will be blown away. The Quran tells you that sand blown away once land's given back to us. It's pristine. It's been saved from all its corruption, 6,000 years corruption. It's the best part of the planet Earth. We ain't gonna inherit those sand be blown away. Once we get there. And now they reneged. They don't want to pay up. We made sacrifice, they didn't pay up. So they want to get rid of us. Okay, brothers and sisters. I think I covered everything here. See? So like I said, don't be dismayed by all these people. We're about to come together. We'll come together solidly. You know, the most solid. They never seen a nation like this. Remember, they said no man's ever seen God anytime. They're talking about these Caucasians, never seen God. They've never seen us as a civilization. As we came together, our civilization started breaking down, you understand, at the time of Dr. Shabazz. By the time of Dr. Yaqub, it was totally, we didn't have nothing resembling what we used to have. So they never saw us as a powerful in our fullness. They never saw our face. It says no one can see God and remain alive. That means once we come together, right, then we're back in our strength, our fullness, and they die. Because they cannot stand within that. Look what's happening right now. I keep saying, right, your brain is your hardware. Your mind is your software. Christian religion is that software is running all by its minds nowadays. Right? We got to upload the angel and the wisdom, the mathematics. Everything is mathematics. But the point is that you have, let's see. You have everybody running this bad software. See? And that's confusing people. So we run that bad software too. So it has to be removed. And then it has to be uploaded. Mathematics, science. See? Pressure is the wisdom. See? Angel is the software that has to be reinstalled. And they're doing everything to try to stop that. So once that happens, right, then we retain our godhood. And their whole society cannot withstand that. Because this whole society is based on the grafted mind. So now they come in conflict with the original mind, which is a trillion times more powerful, because the original mind is what produced the universe, because put it together and formed it, the form it has. We did that. Their little puny mind has done this. They're amazed at it. But when they come with the original mind that put all creation together, including them, that's like a child just fresh out the womb, right, at war with the hawk. Now the child just got out of the womb, now they just still crying. Then he's at war with the hawk. Now how do you think that's going to work? That's pretty much what they're up against. So once they see, once that happens, baby is toast. So that's what it says. They can't see God and live. Once they see it, once they see our power, because look what's going on in the world right now. We just stirring. We haven't woke up yet. We just stirring, right? And thought is power. Thought is pressure. Pressure waves. Pressure, right? Our voice is pressure. Music is pressure waves. The atmosphere is pressure. Just everything is pressure. Or tension, which is the opposite of pressure. But everything is pressure. So what's going on right now? All this music in the world right now, inspired by us. So we got the whole world moving because the pressure comes from our mind. And that's just, we gotta waking up. This music you see right now, I don't care. The best music you got out there, there ain't nothing compared to the music that you're gonna see hereafter. How many tell you that? Nothing compared to it. Remember, 100 years ago, you didn't have, what, did you have jazz? I don't know if you had 100 years ago or not. You had no rap, you had other stuff. Yeah, you definitely have Motown. So you think it's not going to get better and better? And the whole world, right now, the whole world is moving to our mind, our pressure waves. See? And we are stirring. And already we got the world rocking. So we think when we wake up, first they love their music, they love you. Love is obedience. See? You can make a wild beast dance with the right music out there. And we just stirring. And you understand that, bro? Say, if you're paying attention, we already got the world moving and we just stirring. We ain't even woke up yet. We just got to like turn over, a little bit. And we already got the world rocking. Assalamu alaikum, brothers and sisters.